Hey there! Welcome back to Bull and Bill. Today we're taking on one of the big questions that come up every time someone's ready for a new ride. Is leasing a car really a good idea? You've probably heard a lot of different opinions, but today we're going to get to the bottom of it with the real pros and cons, along with tips to make the right choice for you. Leasing sounds great on paper. New car, low payments, low commitment. But is it actually as good as it sounds? We'll be looking at who benefits most from leasing, who probably shouldn't lease, and a few key things to look for if you decide to go the leasing route. Let's get clear on how leasing works. When you lease a car, you're basically paying for how much value or depreciation the car loses while you have it. So if you lease for 3 years, you're paying for the car's drop in value during those 3 years. Let's look at what that means in terms of monthly payments and overall costs. Take a new car worth $30,000. After 3 years, it might be worth $20,000, meaning it's lost $10,000 in value. With a lease, you're only paying that $10,000, spread out over 3 years, plus some interest and fees. That's why leasing often has lower monthly payments than buying the car outright. On the flip side, if you're buying, your payments might be higher, but you're building ownership. After a few years, you'll own the car outright and it'll have some resale value. With leasing, at the end of the term, you have to give the car back or start a new lease from scratch. So, leasing is like renting, while buying is more of an investment. Now, leasing has some real advantages for certain types of drivers. Leasing might make sense if you don't drive long distances. Most leases cap mileage at around 10,000 to 15,000 miles a year. If you're a local commuter or have a short drive, you'll stay within that cap easily. You like driving new cars. Leasing lets you trade up every few years so you can enjoy the latest features, safety tech and styles. Budget conscious with maintenance. Some leases cover routine maintenance, which can save you both time and money. Take my buddy Alex for example. He drives about 8,000 miles a year, mainly in the city. Leasing gives him a new car every few years with updated safety features and no big worries about major repairs or resale. For him, leasing's a perfect match. Of course, there are some important downsides to leasing, and these can really add up if you're not careful. Some key disadvantages include mileage overages. Going over the limit can cost 15 to 25 cents per mile. Rack up an extra 5,000 miles, that's up to $1,250 in extra fees. Wear and tear costs. Leasing companies expect cars back in great shape, so even small dings, scratches, or stains can lead to additional fees. End of lease costs. Some leases have disposition fees or charges just for returning the car. These can range from $300 to $500. Let's look at what these costs might look like in real life. Say you lease a car with a 12,000 mile cap, but by the end of the lease, you've driven 15,000 miles. Those extra 3,000 miles could mean $600 to $750 in fees. Add that to a few hundred in wear and tear charges, and suddenly, that affordable lease feels a lot less budget-friendly. One of the biggest myths about leasing is that it's always the cheaper option. But if you're looking at the big picture, that's not always the case. Let's talk about total cost of ownership. When you buy a car, it may cost more each month, but eventually those payments stop. You own the car and can even sell it later. Leasing, though, means you're always making payments. And if you keep leasing back to back, it might end up costing more in the long run. Let's take a look at someone who buys a $30,000 car and keeps it for 10 years. With a loan paid off in 5 years, they have no payments for the last 5. Meanwhile, a lease would require continuous payments for each new car cycle, which can end up being more costly over time. Leasing does have a specific benefit if you're using the car for business. Monthly lease payments are often deductible, which can make a lease more attractive. So, if you're self-employed or using the car mainly for business, leasing can have some tax perks. Always check with a tax professional though, because tax laws can vary. If you do decide to lease, here are a few tips to make the most of it. Negotiate the car price first. Just like buying, the starting price affects your monthly lease payment. The lower it is, the better your payments. Consider gap insurance. Cars lose value fast, and gap insurance covers the difference between what's owed and the car's market value if it's totaled. Look for lease specials. Dealers often run lease promotions on specific models. These can offer lower interest rates, reduced down payments, or extra mileage, so shop around. Here are some quick answers to common questions about leasing. Can I buy the car at the end of the lease? Yes, some leases have a buyout option. Just keep in mind that this often costs more than buying up front. What if I want out of the lease early? Most leases have penalties for ending early, but some companies allow lease transfers where someone else takes over your lease. What happens if I drive way less than my mileage cap? Well, there's no refund for driving less. So if you're far under the mileage limit, you're still paying for it, which is worth considering. There are some unique situations where leasing can be smarter financially. For example, short-term car needs. If you're in a temporary job or short-term situation where you don't need a car long-term, leasing offers flexibility. Technology enthusiasts. With rapid tech advances, leasing lets you switch to a car with the latest features every few years. Brand new drivers. Leasing might be a way to get started with driving without a large commitment, especially for someone new to the road or still figuring out their driving patterns. So here's what to keep in mind. Leasing is often best for drivers with predictable, low-mileage lifestyles who want a new car without ownership responsibilities. Buying costs more upfront, but offers long-term savings and flexibility, making it the better choice for those who want an investment they can keep and resell. Thanks for tuning in to Bull and Bill. Whether you're leaning toward leasing or buying, we hope you now have a clearer picture of what suits your needs best. If you still have questions, leave them in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more financial tips. See you next time.